everyone, it's Jo here with another Time for Tea Designs video. I hope you're all doing really well. I'm really excited to share this video with you. It was filmed during our Facebook Live last night, and I'm going to make a shaped card using our new Circle of Love dies. So I've just cut one of those dies out to my chosen size of card, and I'm just going to score along one side of that, because that will create the ability for us to be able to attach that to our card front so that it opens. I'm also going to cut some frames as well, so I'm going to cut several of those out using a smaller die there. So with the first die that we've cut, which is going to be our card front, I'm going to create our background, and I'm going to do that using our brand new brick wall stencil. I love this stencil so much. It's so cool and it looks really, really effective. So you can see here that I'm just putting a little bit of a background down using some antique linen distress inks, and you will just have to excuse some of the banging that's going on in the background. I do my filming next to Ant's gym, so when he's moving his equipment around in there, it does make a bit of a clanging sound, so you'll have to excuse that, but there was no other time for us to do this. So you can see that I've now added my stencil over the top. I have masked out the bottom portion of our circle with some heavy doodle memo tape, which you can see there, because I want to create a floor at the bottom, and then obviously our brick wall as the background. So I'm using a post-it note just attached to my fingers so that I'm not transferring any ink onto my project or any of the oils from my fingers onto my project. So it's a really good tip to just do that so that you can protect your work from that. And then I've swapped my beautiful blender brush out now for one of the smaller ones, the medium one, just so that I can use that to get into the corners of each of those bricks with some of this tea dye ink, and that'll create a little bit more of a 3D effect and a bit more dimension. So as I mentioned, I've taken my tape up and I've moved it up so that it's covering my brick wall now, and this is so that I can create my flooring. So I'm doing that using some weathered wood and hickory smoke distress inks, and I've just used those to blend my floor, and you can see now that those masks have been removed just how effective that background looks. It just looks really, really cool. So with my circles, I cut 4 of them, like I said, so I'm just going to use some of my liquid glue to adhere all of those together, and this is a really, really good trick to add a little bit of dimension to your frame without having to go through the stress of trying to add loads of little foam pads or trying to add shaker tape. This just means that you've got a really nice, clean, crisp 3D element to add to your card front. You could also cut a piece from some foam as well, some of the foam sheets, but I think this works really well as well if you don't have that particular option. So I had already stamped up all of my cat images because I'd had them prepared for when we were on Create and Craft earlier in the week. So I thought, let's use some of those images, and I'm sure we've all got images that we've got, that we've already stamped and maybe not got round to colouring yet. So I do like to use them when I can. And I'm using a different colour combination for our kitty. The E70, E71 and E77 is just a really nice warm grey colour. And are perfect for our cat. I'm creating some little stripes with those darker greys, and then coloured his little nose, ears and cheeks with some of the R32 and R20. Moved on to colouring in the easel now, and our little doggy that's been painted, and I'm using some of the E11 and E13 just to colour him in really simply, nothing too complicated, and I'm going to use the E77 to colour in his nose as well, because I didn't want to just use a black, because that would probably be a bit too harsh and maybe a bit too flat. So the E77 just helps make it look a little bit warmer. For the hearts, I'm going to use the green colours, the YG11, the YG41 and the GO2, because they match really well with the cat that I'd already coloured previously, and I just really liked that colour combination. And around each of those images, I'm using some B000, because that will just give us a little bit of depth, so that we haven't just got a flat white canvas. It just creates a little bit of interest. For the easel itself, I'm going to use some of these really, really gorgeous BV shades. So the BV000, the BV04 and BV13. The BV04 and 13 are very, very dark. So, and there is a big difference, big jump between that and the BV000. But they do blend really, really well together, and I really liked that combination. It just looked really nice. So I've kept that throughout. For all of our accessories, I'm using the same colour combinations that we've already used now. So the BV shades, the YG shades, and I've just added a bit of Y21 to our paintbrush, just so that looks an appropriate colour. For the paint palette, I'm going to use E11 and E13. And for the paint drops that are on that palette, I am going to use, again, the same colours that we've used throughout the card so far, the BV shades, our green shades, and then the pinks. And I think that just means then that we're not distracting from our project. Everything's very coordinated, everything links together, and nothing is too jarring or distracting. So just adding those extra little finishing touches to the pen pot. And now we can use our coordinating dies to cut out each of our images. And the coordinating dies are so useful for this. It just makes life so much easier having those dies to help us cut out some of these smaller images. So just using some of our rainbow washi tape, and then I pop that through my die cutting machine, and now we've got all of our images cut out. And they just look really sweet. This is my favourite bit, is when you can pop those out of the dies and you've got that lovely crisp white line around the edge. So before we attach each of our little characters, I'm going to stamp our sentiment. So I'm using some of my VersaFine Onyx Black ink and my stamping platform, just to add the Sending Crafty Hugs sentiment to the top of our card front there. So this is now the back of our card that we're creating, and I'm just going to use my little trimmer to cut off a little tiny portion off the very bottom. This will mean that when we add those pieces together, that it won't rock and fall over once it stands up. So it's just a nice little trick there, just to make sure that you've got a nice stable card once you've finished. Just added a bit of my liquid glue to my frame now, and I'm just going to add that to my card front. And now to add each of our little characters with some foam pads. So just popping those on the back and then positioning those so that they're positioned as if they're standing on our floor. And then I'm going to position each of those little accessories around them. For the pen pot, I did want it to just sit on that frame, so it was just hanging over a little bit. So I've added foam tape to the top and then some liquid glue to the bottom, and I'm using the same technique here because our paint palette is going to overlap our little kitty. I felt there was an area at the bottom of our card that was just calling out for another little accessory, so I've quickly coloured in our little stamp there and used the coordinating die to cut that out, and it's the perfect size, just to add a little foam pad and then just pop that in the middle of the floor there. So he's having a very crafty day. He's got all of his equipment all around him, and he's creating his masterpiece, which I just think is just such a cute scene. And that's what these stamps are perfect for that. So I'm adding some glossy accent to the noses. Great thing to do for your critters, to make them look a bit glossy and a bit wet. And some highlights using my white Jelly Roll pen as well just really brings all of the images to life and gives them a little bit more depth and dimension. In doing so, I did think that actually adding a little bit more of my glossy accents to each of those little bits of paint on our palette, and then to the glass with the paintbrushing, would just make those look a little bit more realistic as well. So, and I just think it's nice to add that gloss to anything that's glass. And that's our card complete. So you can see there just what a cute scene that's created, and I love the fact that we've now got a shaped card that stands up really well, and it just looks so much fun. I really hope that you liked the video today, and I hope that you liked our shaped card. Like I say, I've absolutely loved making it. If you did like it, then please do like and subscribe to our channel, and I'll be back with some more videos again real soon. Thanks a lot for watching, and take care. See you soon. Bye bye now.